Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to week 1 of IST 350. So today what we're going to talk about is your syllabus and course requirements and expectations and assignments. So let's get going. Here you'll see we're on your regular old home page for our Sakai site. And so what we're going to do is over to the side, click on syllabus. Click on syllabus, and here we've got all of these things. So first let's drop down the syllabus and take a look at it. Up here in the corner, you'll see my name. You'll see that I offer office hours by appointment. The best way to reach me is that email address. I'm giving you my phone number, but I want you to hold off on using it unless it becomes absolute emergency or something that needs to be taken care of immediately. So please tend to use my email address, but you can use the phone in case it becomes something important. All right, so let's get into this. First, let's talk about the goals and objectives of this course. So on this course, we're going to build on that foundation that you got laid when you took freshman composition or English 101. So we're going to think through critical thinking, and we're going to think through critical thinking by using analysis, synthesis, evaluation, research, developing all of these skills, and to help you go forward in the other classes you're going to take in interdisciplinary studies, because you'll be writing for the rest of your time in this program. We're also going to have you choose a complex issue and examine it using your 3 disciplines that you've selected. And you're going to do this by coming to a conclusion that's based on thorough analysis, evaluation, and synthesis. You're going to pick one primary topic and think about it throughout the entire semester. All your writing will be on this one primary topic. Right? And finally, this is going to culminate in a major research project. So I told you already what your 2 required texts were in a previous email, but in case you didn't get it or didn't see it, here are what your textbooks are going to be. Here are our learning outcomes. Once you complete the course, hopefully you will be able to construct clearly written, relevant, interdisciplinary research papers based on the knowledge you've integrated from your 3 disciplines using APA format. This is important because this is going to be what your capstone project is. Your writing for your internship is going to require that you do this and do it really well. So we need to go ahead and lay that base for you. So when it comes time to do those projects, you'll be able to do them effectively and get a good grade on them. We want to be able to articulate a thesis statement and understand all these different topics related to English. Because if you can't do them, if you have difficulty with any of them, falter on any of them, people are going to question your writing in general, which I would say is not necessarily too fair, but that's the way the world works, sadly. And so that's what we need to make sure we have. Okay, so focusing on all of these things and making them as strong as they can be is going to be very important. You want to be able to formulate effective research questions, make claims, and support assertions. Because if you aren't able to do these, you're not going to be able to build a strong argument. Right? A weak research question is going to result in a weak argument, as well as these other 2 items. You want to be able to demonstrate critical analysis skills by examining complex issues through the lens of your disciplines. You'll always be wanting to think about everything that you write about this semester and the rest of your time in interdisciplinary studies through those 3 lenses. Right? Next, draw connections, synthesizing. Right? You're doing 3 disciplines, so you need to be able to draw connections between them. You need to understand appropriate conventions of academic writing. Right? People have an expectation when they go in to read an essay. And if those expectations aren't met, they're going to question the writer's argument. Next, we want to be able to critique material from a variety of different sources with emphasis on scholarly and professional publications. You'll be doing this through many of your different projects, and it's important to be able to look at a source and say, is this reliable, yes or no, and here's why. And now I'm going to analyze it. That way you can come to better conclusions about your topic. You want to be able to know how to use the library databases, because you're going to have to do that for your capstone project or your internship, and they're also just great sources for a bunch of different material. You want to know how to use APA. APA is probably the most prevalent form of documentation, and so knowing it will be very effective for your future, and you're going to have to use it for your capstone project or your internship. So it's good to go ahead and get a grip on that. And finally, understanding plagiarism and how to avoid it. We'll be talking a lot about that, trust me. All right, attendance. We don't meet in person, so there's not necessarily a traditional attendance, but you're going to be expected to be logging into Sakai at least twice a week. I have a program set up on here that's going to track your statistics, how much time you're spending on here and how often you get on here. I'd like to see you on here at least twice a week for a good amount of time. Right? You want to stay actively engaged with the material. Since you aren't meeting traditionally in person, it's easy to get yourself away from that material and not think about the course. So staying active on here will help you stay actively engaged in the course and in your assignments. So be sure you're coming back in every once in a while and checking and always doing your work every week. Right? Late work, missed assignments, partially completed work. Late work is subject to a 10-point per day penalty, and if it goes over a week, I'm just not going to take it. Unless you can give me a good excuse, and if you have an excuse, if you have an emergency coming up, let me know so we can go ahead and take care of that. Because I'm a reasonable person, I'll listen to it, and if it seems excusable to me, I'll excuse it. Your homework is pass-fail. If it's partially completed, it's a 0 or a fail. If you've done everything, it's a pass. Right? I set out everything in each homework assignment for you to let you know what you need to do. Partially completed major projects won't get a 0, but the grade will be commensurate with the amount of work that you have done. I'll look and say, how much work did this person do? I'll grade it based off that. So you want to make sure in that too that you're not just doing it partially. Right, your writing standards here. This course is to help you become an even more effective writer. So maybe I'll understand at first if it's a little rusty, your writing skills. Maybe it's been a bit since you've been writing, but we want to see those skills develop and strengthen throughout the semester. But be aware that if your writing is just riddled with errors, it's going to be a problem. It might be difficult for you to pass those assignments. If you have errors here or there, that's not a big deal. But if in every single sentence you've got an error, then you might have a problem on our hands. And if you know you're having these problems, if you know you have issues with writing, you can go to the Writing Center, which we'll talk about right now. So, the Writing Center is free for everyone that's a student, and it focuses on teaching writing and helping students grow in their writing abilities. It covers every aspect of the writing process: idea generation, development, and revision, and grammar, editing, all of it. Every aspect of your writing, you can go to them. So the consultations, the in-person consultations, are going to be at the Academic Support Center in room 1390, the Marks Library in room 240, which is nice. You've got 2 locations, so if you're on one side of campus, it's easier to get to maybe than the other one. Now, we also have e-tutoring available, and that's by appointment, and you want to save those for the people who don't live near campus or work all day and can't get onto campus while the Writing Center is open. If you're able to be on campus, don't make an e-tutoring appointment, because what you could do is take away that appointment from someone who truly needs it. So keep that in mind when you're deciding how to go. Here are the 2 ways you can reach the Writing Center: phone number and the website. Okay, technical problems. We live in the technological era. At this point, we know we've got to back everything up. You got to back everything up on a USB drive, on Google Drive, on Dropbox, on something, external hard drive, whatever it is that you have. Because we know we live in this age, and I'm giving you this warning now, and it's in the syllabus. If you tell me your computer crashed and you don't have the work, it's going to be hard for me to want to excuse that, all right? It could result in a 0, all right? So make sure you're backing everything up, and if your computer just straight up crashes, you'll have it backed up, and you can go to the USA Library, or if you don't live near USA, you can go to a public library, and you can get it on the computer there. If you have a disability, get in contact with the Office of Special Student Services, and they'll get in touch with me, and I'll help meet your accommodations, okay? There's the contact information for them. We don't want any form of sexual harassment among students. We also don't want to deal with any sort of academic disruption. Either one of these things will not end well for you. There will be severe penalties, so just don't do it. Plagiarism. Plagiarism is very important. If you are caught plagiarizing, it will result in a significant penalty, and also all your assignments are going to be turned in via Sakai, And on Sakai, we have the tool set up where every single piece of writing, whether it's attached or written in Sakai, it will be run through Turnitin, and Turnitin will catch your plagiarism. So don't think you can get around it somehow. Just student academic conduct policy. I'm not going to go over it. It is long and it's everywhere, and you can read it here if you're interested. So here's our grade breakdown. 25% of your grades that first project, 30 for the second project, 10 for your multimedia, 20 for your homework, 15 for your annotations. You can see they're all fairly significant chunks of your grade. Nothing's that tiny, and so you don't want to mess around with any of it. Make sure you do the work. Here's your important dates, finally, of when to drop, add, and the last day classes are. Okay, so here's your general course overview. We've talked about the course description very basically already. What's important to keep in mind is you're going to pick one topic, and that one topic you're going to spend the whole semester researching. You're going to have to submit that topic to me very early on, okay? And so what's a really good idea is if you already know what your capstone project's going to be on, pick that as your topic. And then you can be finding sources already and developing what will eventually be your capstone project. Or if you already know what your internship's going to be, pick something related to that internship. This will make it more interesting for you, and it'll make it more useful. Don't pick something that is boring or super unfamiliar to you, because you're not going to have fun doing the writing on it. Okay. We don't have meetings because it's on Sakai, so just make sure you're logging in and checking up. And here are our course components. I'm going to have an audio lecture like this every week. I'm going to try to keep it short. This one I know is a little long, but I'm trying to go over the important stuff. This is all very important. I'll also have some supplementary materials from time to time, handouts, other example essays, and things like that. You're going to have textbook readings every week. These are important to do, okay? You may think I can get by without doing them. The textbooks teach you how to write. So if you're having issues with writing, this is the greatest resource you can have. And even if you're good at writing, you can always get better. So they're worth looking over. You'll have homework assignments, 1 or 2 a week. You're going to fail them if you don't complete every part of it. It's due by Sunday, 11:55 p.m. every week. And each homework entry, I'm going to tell you how long it has to be. That's what I mean about if it is incomplete. Okay? It needs to meet that length and other stipulations from time to time. You have these annotations, which I've mentioned before, and which I'm going to go into detail on in just a minute. So I'm not going to talk about them quite yet. You'll have your 2 major projects. Because you already know you have them, and you can already look at the prompts up here on the side and the tabs, you're not going to get any extension for it, because you already know about them and you already have the prompts, so you can already go ahead and start on them. You can turn them in earlier if you'd like, but no turning them in later. If you turn them in earlier, I'll grade them the second you give them to me, and you'll get that grade back a lot faster than everyone else. And you can begin on your rewrites, which I'll talk about in a minute. Finally, you'll have your multimedia presentation, which you'll record using PowerPoint. Okay, and that we'll talk about more when it gets closer to time. So you're going to get the opportunity to rewrite both essays. Okay, and this is a great opportunity that you should take advantage of. But in order for it to be counted, you must first get your grade back. You can't start writing it before I give you your grade. You got to schedule an appointment with the Writing Center and provide me with proof that you attended the Writing Center. If you don't, one of my close friends is the director of the Writing Center, so I can just get in touch with him and he can tell me whether you came or not. So don't lie about it. You want to revise the paper based on my comments and the feedback that the Writing Center gives you. Turn in the paper again on Sakai, and then once you've done all that, I'll grade it fresh with a brand new mind, and that new grade you get will replace the old one. Right? If you mess up on that rewrite and the grade's lower than the initial one, I won't replace it. You'll get the higher grade. All right? And you'll get that opportunity with both, but we'll talk about due dates in a second. The rewrite for the first one will be due by March 10th at the latest.